The season finale of the Diamond Drive Cup. 90 minutes separates three brand new champions, and we are live here on a Wednesday night at Imola for the special 90-minute finale. Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Nate and Jake the Bosmeister Boswell on the cameras as per usual. And we have an excellent race tonight, a championship to decide in the silver class as well, and possibly the option of a couple of spicy racing maneuvers out there. We are at Imola, after all, Nate. Small field, though, we have tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately, not quite the size we're used to seeing, but one thing that does please my brain greatly is we have 4 AMs, 4 silvers, and 4 pros, which just, honestly, make brain go brrr, like, but yeah, as you mentioned, Jesse, we're here at Imola, a couple of championships to decide, so I've got a feeling some of the drivers out here have got points to prove.
Pretty much everyone here tonight trying to win or better themselves in the final championship standings. A lot of the races are still quite close coming into the finale as well. The other thing that I will mention, I think we should bring it up, is that Diamond Drive Season 4 is already greenlit. It'll start in 2 weeks from today, and as a matter of fact, as far as I'm aware, signups are already open for Diamond Drive Season 4.
Yeah, that is correct. Signups are open. Signups do close Tuesday, the 22nd of March. So anybody watching who feels like they want to get involved, as long as you are a female or non-binary, get yourself signed up, come and join us, and maybe we could be commentating on you next season.
That's absolutely right. No boys allowed on Wednesday night on the racetrack, only in the comms box apparently. And I will say it has been an amazing Season 3 that we've seen. Some of the closest points battles we've seen in the Diamond Drive, and a complete reversal of Season 2 last year, where it was a bit scrappy. This year, we've seen some really good racing.
Yeah, it's definitely been cleaner than I expected personally. Obviously, I expected with a couple of new faces that everyone would need to sort of relearn their competitors, because obviously that's how you get the good, clean, hard racing, is you sort of figure out who you can go toe-to-toe with, who is going to leave you that little bit of space, and who is always going to shut the door on you. So expected it to be a little bit rough around the edges to start with, but was pleasantly surprised, Jesse.
Well, we built up Jake Boswell, our broadcaster, to let him know that he was probably going to be busy on the old replay button. Of course, he is the madman behind all of the controls for Wednesday, and he thought we were sort of letting him on for the first week or so. We're like, no, this is slightly abnormal. There's usually more drama than this, but don't get me wrong, there certainly has been a fair share of drama. A lot of penalties in the last couple of races. Of course, the live stewarding doing its job, but with fewer cars here today, Nate, my question is it going to be a workmanlike race, a nice, clean race, or do we think we're going to see some elbows out here for the final 90 minutes?
I got a feeling towards the start we'll see elbows out, because the grid is so small. All the drivers are going to want to stay close with one another so they can keep battling hard throughout the race. But I have a feeling after a few laps, once the field sort of spreads out, everyone will settle down, find their rhythm, and then any overtaking opportunities that do arise will probably be a little bit more subdued, and everyone will sort of maybe tone it down a smidge.
Well, something else I wanted to bring up pre-race was Sarah O'Brien, in one of the race chats, posted a very interesting snap of themselves in a full racing suit, full fire-resistant material, gloves, the helmet, the whole 9 yards, and high heels of all things, though they have just mentioned a moment ago that they changed them out for a more comfortable footwear on the pedals, but that has to be hot even inside of a sim rig.
Well, I can only hope that she's got a good fan, because like you said, it does get quite warm. Anyone who's you know, quite familiar with sim racing will know that you do get quite warm. You do the room does heat up around you. So as you mentioned, Jesse, I can't imagine doing it in full fire retardant suit with a helmet on as well. I mean, I suppose the immersion factor will be great, but yeah, it's going to be quite hot.
I couldn't do it myself. I would absolutely be baking. Like you said, the aircon solution has to have been worked out pre-race. Of course, 90 minutes, 30 more minutes than the normal race that we do for, of course, the finale. And well, it's 30 more minutes. It's a pit stop. It's a tire change. A lot different in a 90-minute race versus a 1 hour race.
Yeah, it definitely throws the mix in. I think everyone's going to need fuel for starters, as opposed to maybe some people who might run full tanks and hope they can sort of make it to the end. So everyone will be stopping for fuel, which will again throw a little bit of variety into the mix, make it a little bit saucy to see what everyone does. But tire change, yeah, has to be done. A lot of the drivers say for 60 minutes they'll sort of go without a tire change because they don't believe it's quicker. But for 90, yeah, absolutely, we're definitely going to see tire changes. And anyone who doesn't, I will say this now, I'll go down on record as saying this, is an absolute nutter.
Well, certainly there are a couple of cars that can just about make the 90-minute mark. Case in point, the Bentley we were just looking at there. You can't quite make it as far as I know, but it does make it more than an hour 15, but you'd have to save. Even still, that's something to consider for your pit stop, cutting down on the time spent in the pit lane. Another issue that we've seen in recent weeks as well was the speeding in the pit lane at a couple of racetracks as well. Will that be a factor here today? Well, we'll just have to find out.
Yeah, fingers crossed all the drivers have learned their lessons, and we won't see it. But yeah, we always get one person who tries to push the limits a little bit too fine. Is it was it flying too close to the sun with the wax wings? Is it Jesse?
Oh yes, Icarus indeed. Well, you know what the interesting thing was? It wasn't just one driver that sped in the pit lane. It was multiple, and a couple came in to serve the drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane and sped again, compounding the insult to injury there as well. I love it. We have 12 cars on track for the finale tonight, and it was still a mad dash out of the pit lane.
Yeah, like, come on, everyone. There's plenty of track for you all to get clean air. There's no need to rush, but I suppose with 20 minutes, everybody wants to maximize their on-track time.
Stephen in chat asking, how's the weather? Well, it's looking pretty perfect. We don't expect any weather this weekend. We didn't have it in practice. We're not going to have it in qualifying, and I am told that we shouldn't expect it in the race either. It's partly cloudy. The track's fast, not completely optimum yet, just after 6 a.m. local time, or in sim time rather. So we'll see if that changes or improves, and I suspect it will. I suspect this track, even with only 12 cars, will go optimum sometime in the session, right around the halfway point maybe. Depends on how far along the track actually was when the session started.
Yeah, I've got a feeling we will go optimum, so times will drastically tumble, but even still, I think we all know, Jesse, who is going to snatch pole position here tonight.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to walk too far out on that plank, would you, to have to figure that out?
No, Anal Rose has been, well, pretty much bar getting beaten by her wife, has been untouchable in qualifying and
he means
race.
On the racetrack, by the way.
Yes, of course. Untouchable in qualifying and just in a completely different league during race trim. So it's, yeah, like you said, Jesse, don't need to go too far out to imagine who will get pole. However, the rest of the grid is a different kettle of fish.
It really is. I'm not sure who's going to be second. Will it be a silver car? Will it be a pro car? We've seen that upset a couple of times as well. And also, who will take the pole for the AM class? It's very interesting indeed to see where everyone's going to shake out in this race. Could the Queen's Design team pull off another 1, 2, 3, as they so often have in this series, but not last time out?
No, I'm trying to remember what happened. It just seemed like a compounding issue for Acosta and Who else was it? Can't remember the other driver. Help me out, Jesse. Give me a hand here. Luna, that was
Luna,
it.
yes, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, compounding issues in Misano, it seemed, just didn't really go to plan for those drivers. I'm sure Acosta, again, will be coming here to right any wrongs last time out, but also a few other drivers with a couple of gremlins from, well, the previous few races that they're probably wanting to set behind them as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, when you asked me, Jesse, lap 1, lap 2, probably going to be quite aggressive. Drivers wanting to stay ahead to, well, put to bed any disappointment from the previous races.
Yeah, and as we see some of the first times come across, Anor Rose, a 41.117, the mark to beat. Ruby Acosta with that's a 42. That's 1 second off of the pace in comparison to Rose, but still good enough for second place for Acosta. And now Nicole Fox, the next round racing McLaren, comes up into the third place position, displacing Dove. And you've got Yvonne leading the silver class currently over Johnson and Charlotte Robertson, the only AmCar to take a time on that first lap, meaning that everybody else invalidated their lap. So Robertson, who's already told us they will be back next season, Diamond Drive Season 4, takes the first shot here at Am.
Yeah, it's good to see, obviously, as you mentioned, Jesse, Sun-Up's already open. A lot of the drivers already saying they'd like to commit to Season 4, which is it's good for us. It means we still have jobs. I can still feed the family. And Mike Jones, please pay us. Yeah, and it means obviously we get to go another season with all these fantastic drivers.
It really is. And I knew for a while that Diamond Drive Season 4 was coming. I just didn't know when. Thought there would be a little bit of a delay. Turns out that is not the case. Diamond Drive will resume. We'll take the week off next week. I mean, we'll take the week off. The drivers will not be taking the week off, of course. They will be doing pre-Q for the next season. But we'll have the week off, and in 2 weeks we'll be right back here. I think it's the 27th of March or something like that. We'll be right back here for Season 4, Round 1. But tonight, job to do. Johnson all the way down into last place, and Silver was second. An improvement all the way to provisional pole for Johnson in the AAA to 43.412, and Acosta as well improved by 2/10, catching up to Rose a little bit there.
Yep, Yvonne though says, I'm not letting you have that, and goes quicker by 0.005.
Yes, indeed. Well, we continue qualifying. I do apologize if you heard my my phone in the background. And Nate, you know what that is, which is strange. You actually know what it's called.
I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a fanfare is. Like, it's a pretty sort of common thing there.
No, everybody knows what it is, but they don't know what it's called. You actually knew what it was called. That was very impressive. I do apologize for the interruption. Alice Horton trying to get a quicker lap in to get up on the provisional or the starting podium spots here, give themselves a better shot. This looks like a good lap for the Speed Kitty Motorsport Bentley. How far up will it be? Oh, just about a 10th of an improvement, a 43.710. Doesn't move them up a spot, but does improve on their time.
And we have a new challenger has just appeared, Jesse. Sophie Erwin has decided to join us tonight. I'm wondering if she'll put a lap in, or if she may go for the old last to first challenge.
That'd be pretty entertaining as well. One other omission tonight that is strange. We see Fury April go provisional pole with a 43.172. I don't see April's teammate, April Carlsvard, here tonight. And that's a strange omission to not see two Ferraris in the grid.
Yeah, I was trying to work out who isn't here. And I did clock Sophie Erwin wasn't here. But I didn't clock April Carlsvard wasn't here. Also, I don't believe Cosmo is here in the glorious V12.
Yes, indeed. It looks like we will not have the Cosmo report for the final week of the season. But all things considered, 13 cars. We gained one here in qualifying. Now, Erwin is allowed to qualify. Sophie got here in time. They can qualify and that's fine. It doesn't matter when they join up till the race. They are allowed to participate if they join before that. They made it around the halfway point. They're good to go. Put the setup in the car, put the gloves on, get out there and run a lap. And that's exactly what Sophie is doing, as they have just left the pit lane in the 714.
Yeah, which is good to see. Be interesting to see what Sophie can bring to the party, mixed up a bit. Just trying to see where Sophie is on track. I believe still on an out lap, so we might have time for a handful of laps. Yep, there is Sophie in the 714 GTWR RHG Female Racing Bentley. Wow, that's a mouthful, isn't it? But yeah, I got a feeling Sophie will probably mix it up in the top 6. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I've been wrong before, as I often am.
We'll have to see what Sophie can do. Just now feeling it out now, trying to get it back under them, and we're about halfway into the qualifying session. The first 10 minutes just about gone. The track condition has not improved. I would have expected it to have already done that, but alas, that hasn't occurred. Track's still fast, so there's still time to be made up on the track right now in the final 10 minutes. Nicole Fox, next round racing, up to 3rd place, looking to improve, and does. Doesn't pick up a spot, but picks up a few tenths, a 42.162. The best lap for the 202. Rose improved as well out in front, a 40.910 entering the 40s. That bumps Acosta back down below 1 second. That's a healthy gap between first and second again.
Yeah, that is crazy fast. But one thing I want to point out is actually it's annoyed me all season is why are the logos on Nicole Fox's car upside down? I've been meaning to ask her for the longest time, and every time I see her car, it winds me up just a little bit more.
Fox is an Australian, are they?
Oh my god.
I'm just, listen, you have a question, I'm trying to find a practical solution. It makes sense.
And with that, folks, DDC is officially cancelled. Good night.
Well, we thank you all for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks. No, of course. But I'm just trying to think of a practical solution. Why are they upside down? Maybe because they're in Italy. They're in a different hemisphere. Maybe they're
in Italy.
Well, I mean, they are now.
Well, from Italy to Australia, that's a big old jump.
Yeah, that's why. That would explain why it's upside down. You put the stickers on in Australia. You come to Italy, they'd be upside down. That's just math.
I'm leaving you. I'm taking the kids.
I'll see you in court, Nate. Rose still leading the way with the 40.910. Can you tell we have fun here? Acosta still 1 second off of that pace, but Johnson has distanced themselves from Fury April and the rest of the silver pack. L on the provisional pole for Am over O'Brien, who is, we believe, is racing in a full fire retardant suit this evening. And McKenna Santos in 3rd place. That's becoming familiar territory for the rookie McKenna Santos to park it on the podium in the AM class.
Yeah, it's nice to see. We've seen small improvements across drivers all across the season, and it is fantastic, especially when they can look back themselves and see their improvement. But one thing I'm not seeing improve is Sophie Erwin's time, but still, unfortunately, has not set a valid lap.
Well, it is very easy, a couple of places on this racetrack to invalidate. If I had a nickel for every time I went down into Aqua Minerale and left with a red time in the top left corner of the screen, well, I'd be eating nickel soup, as they say. So it's just unfortunate. You can do it so easily in that and the chicane as well. If you take it a bit too sharply, you can invalidate, even though it doesn't feel like it should be invalidated. You can do it. Also, there's a couple of places as well. You can actually run wide and invalidate your lap as well. I think it's 4 or 5. I forget what that's actually called. But very easy to do that as well. But Sophie's still trying to get that lap on the board. And I believe I said this the other week. It doesn't matter how many valid you get in qualifying as long as one of them is fast and, and not invalidated.
You did say that, and then you went and shot yourself in the foot by saying that RCI pre-qualifying requires you to do at least 5 valid laps.
Yeah, but yeah, it's very true. And in pre-quali, that logic doesn't apply. Today it does, though, because Oh, what would qualifying look like if it was an average of your lap times you set? That would be almost impossible to implement, but a very interesting proposition nonetheless. I believe Sophie Irwin is running a lap this time, and we're going to see where they go. Well, they go third in silver, a 43.347. Still has about 6 minutes to play with here to improve upon that time. Needs about half a second to get to Johnson, who's fourth overall right now.
Oh, Yvonne looked extremely sideways there. I think actually Jake the Bosmeister Boswell, old Jake as I call him, has got the replay for us here. So just clouts the curb and wow, yeah, that's a sideways Bentley. That's not how you gain time through that chicane there.
Almost got away with it, and then hit the rear diffuser on the curb as well, and it sort of bounced the car, and it's hard to turn and hit the accelerator and do all those things on when you're bouncing around like that. Just ask F1 testing this year, and that's exactly what happened there coming out of there. But that was Jedi Jake showing up there. He knew exactly what you were going to say, Nate. Had a replay for you.
See, definitely a Jedi. He's read my mind. Gave me the old hand wave and was like, this is the replay you're looking for.
Ah, yes, indeed. Boys, girls, people of all backgrounds, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be like that today. It's going to be a lot of jokes here in the booth. If you like a comedy routine, you're going to get it today. I don't know what has happened, but we're in that mood for sure. Horton comes to the line, improves on that lap, of 43 for them. Sarah Dove trying to get up with the rest of the pro class and does, a 42.445, good enough for fourth.
I'm so glad Dove managed to get up into fourth, because the fact that the pro banner was below the silver banner was irritating me greatly. A lot of things are irritating me tonight, Jesse.
Everything is perfect. Everything is perfectly cromulent here in the sim racing world. We have the pros with the pros, the silvers with the silvers, and the AMs with the AMs. But I don't think they're going to end qualifying that way, nor do I think they're going to end the race like that.
Definitely not the race. It's some of these drivers do have stronger race pace than they do qualifying pace, which definitely makes for interesting racing as they come through the field. But yeah, just if qualifying ends with pros, silvers, AMs, like in that order, I'm happy. If not, the stream's ending, it's getting cancelled, and I'm putting a stop to it.
I just want to point out, McKenna Santos picked up almost 2 seconds to go to provisional AM pole. Wow.
I completely missed that in my rant. I'm terribly sorry.
That was like 1.6, 1.8 seconds McKenna had to pick up to make all that time up, and did. Sarah O'Brien goes back second in the Bad Girls Racing Bentley, a 45.282, gets them a bit closer to McKenna now. About 4/10 off there. I feel like that's doable here on a last lap. The track has now gone optimum, and that may explain why we see so many drivers picking up late.
Yeah, I think a couple of drivers have stopped for fresh tyres as well to really take advantage of the optimum track, as Sophie Irwin goes into sixth with a 42.9. But yeah, we'll have to see now, Jesse. I think times are going to start tumbling.
I think you are very right. Sarah Johnson already provisional in silver, trying to improve, and does a 42.512. But if I were them, I wouldn't stop just yet, as everyone else is going to have the grip that you have. McKenna, the same deal. I would keep going. You've gone this far. Is this another pickup for Santos, the Race Ventura BMW? And that is another improvement, a slight improvement, a 44.802. Goes ahead and drops them down a little bit more on the sheet. We've seen this before. Acosta, second place in pro, already in the pit lane. And I don't think we're going to see them come back out in the 40 BMW. I think that's their qualifying done. Charlotte Robertson has joined Acosta in the pit lane as well. The 11 Lexus will likely take no further part.
Nope,
in
they're
this
coming back
session.
out. Sorry
Oh,
to
it's
cut
going
you
to
off
be.
there, Jesse. They are on their way
Oh,
back out.
but can they make it though?
Yeah, with some spirited track cutting, I'm sure they'll get around.
Yes. Well, O'Brien comes around, improves again, and now only needs about a tenth and a half to get to McKenna for the pole in AM. Getting very spicy here late in quali.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I'm just watching everyone go around, just trying to figure out who is going quicker, who isn't, and it's just wow, it's anyone's game.
Really is. It might be the kind of day where the last one across the line has the best shot of taking the pole in the lower two classes as Erwin continues to climb the mountain that is Sarah Johnson here and is nearly just about done it. Less than a tenth between the two of them for silver pole. What does Yvonne have? Yvonne led them in quali earlier and only needs about half a second to get there. Let's see if Yvonne can take it here as they come on the front straight.
Yeah, there's a big old gap to make though. It's about half a second. So I mean, obviously it's doable, it's possible, and it gone and proved themselves right. Has gone that half second quicker to move them into second place in class.
Top three in silver covered by 1/10. Very close indeed. Does Nicole Fox have something for the front row with this lap? Indeed, Fox does. A 41.945 promotes them to row number one in the McLaren.
Yeah, and Fox saying, that's it, that's all I've got. Pulls to one side and now returns to the pits. So, who is our last driver? So, Charlotte Robinson did indeed make it round for another lap. It looks like car 96, the Bentley of Sarah O'Brien, also managed to squeeze across the finish line, maybe? Oh, they are slowing, so maybe not. So, Sophie Erwin now coming around for their final lap. We'll have to see where this moves them. But Charlotte Robinson will be the final car to set a lap, providing they don't go invalid.
Well, that told me where Erwin's lap went as they hugged the inside of the race. That's technically the outside of the racetrack, actually, because that faces the outside part of the racetrack. Being pedantic, of course, but Erwin slowing down told me everything I needed to know about how that lap had gone. Will go no quicker. Yvonne, the only one in the top three that is still going in silver, that still has a shot to take that pole. Johnson's across the line, of course. We saw Erwin, but what about Alice Horton, the Speed Kitty Motorsport Bentley, the very pink Bentley in the grid? Could they maybe have a last lap magic?
Well, fingers crossed. I don't see Charlotte Robinson anymore, so it seems that she's abandoned that lap. So it will be Alice Horton as the final driver on a valid lap to cross the finish line. Yeah, definitely. So where does this bring Horton? We'll definitely be hoping for something a little bit better than last in class. And we wait eagerly now. Oh, unfortunately not quite enough to move them up any positions.
Well, that concludes qualifying for the final round of Diamond Drive Season 3. Let's take a look at the championship points and see how we got here. Anor Rose on 156 ahead of Luna, who is not here this evening. Sarah Dove stands to gain from that and will likely take second place in that championship, but they have to get by Ruby Acosta, who's on 86 points. Very close there. That will be, even though it says it's the fight for third and fourth, with Luna not being here, that will certainly be the fight for second place in the championship. Nicole Fox on 81 as well also has a chance of taking those honors, as it may be all over and done for the championship, but you have three drivers realistically fighting over second place. Mia Rose, of course, has retired from the championship. Silver, a lot closer indeed. Yvonne leads with 128 ahead of Sophie Erwin's 117. That is still a doable deficit for Sophie Erwin, and we will pay attention to that all race long. Theory April will be looking to improve their standing by one here today, of course. And April Carlsvard just 10 points behind April for third place. Alice Horton a little bit closer than that in 5th place. Of course, April Cosvard's not here today, so Horton could pick up several spots. Sarah Johnson in 6th place with 83 points. Cosmo Marsh not here either. And nobody else, or everybody else, has retired from the championship in silver. Moving right along to AM, this is the way that it looks. Sarah O'Brien has a healthy 146-point lead over Brock in the 99. 128 is the mark to beat there. Charlotte Robertson on 100. McKenna Santos with 96 points, and Elle with 36. Quite the fight for silver today. It's not all over in that category. It's not all over for second place in pro. But realistically, I think for everybody, it's just go like hell for 90 minutes. Try to get one last win, one last podium finish here in the series. And what of McKenna Santos? A pole position. Is that McKenna's first pole position? I don't recall. But either way, a very interesting into qualifying for the 22 BMW. And also, can Fox do anything to get by Rose? We've seen that happen before, where somebody gets in front of one of the Queen's Design cars and is able to change their game plan. And of course, silver is a big mystery as well. The most cars of any category here, and they're all very close.
Yeah, so I think Fox needs to get ahead of Rose coming into turn 1 for any hope at disturbing or disrupting the plan that Rose probably already has formed, which will be just walk away from everyone. So fingers crossed Fox can get ahead and force Rose to, well, slow down, maybe even back Rose up into Acosta and Dove to make it a little bit more interesting. So we'll have to wait and see. We almost saw it once before. I think it was Dove knew that she had to get past early on to even mount half an attack against Rose, but unfortunately didn't manage to make the move stick, and we all know what happened. Well, anytime Rose is in free air, she just seems to walk away. So, yeah, fingers crossed, Rose gets a good run. Fox gets a good run on Rose and makes the first few laps a little bit more interesting for us all.
Well, of course, the field is smaller, but we do appreciate you being with us nonetheless this evening. The season finale for Diamond Drive Cup, but a new DDC Cup coming up for Season 4. Sign-ups are open now for that. The only requirement to race is that you don't have a male identifier. So everyone I'll be interested to see about that. If we have any new drivers, because we've had consistently through the first 3 seasons, new drivers come in that we did not know. The standout for me this season is McKenna, obviously. Will we get that for Season 4? That's the exciting part for me, to discover brand new talent. But for right now, 90 minutes, a pit stop that I'm pretty sure requires a tire change. Not that you would want to be out there 90 minutes on the same tires most of the time anyway. The track is a little cool, but otherwise, track is optimal. The sun is out. It's going to be an interesting morning of racing here.
It's going to be a good morning of racing, Jesse. We're going to see lots. I don't know what we're going to see yet, but we're going to see lots.
Yeah, I'm worried about turn 2. Of course, turn 1 is the dog leg down the front straightaway. Technically speaking, turn 1 is before the start-finish line, but we don't talk about that, folks. This is turn 2 and 3, the complex they are going through now. I always worry about a pileup, even with 13 cars. It always seems to happen. Will they be able to get through that section cleanly? We will find out. It's been that kind of season where the running order gets jumbled up very easily, and it is a sort of one of those races where that could happen indeed. I'm going to turn it over to you, Nate. Don't pick Anal Rose. Who do you think is going to win this race today?
Raynal O's?
Yes, the new driver from Czechoslovakia, yeah?
Yeah, that one. I mean, you'd be a fool to bet against that 56 Queen's Design BMW. So, for me, it's got to be Rose for the win. I'm going to go and throw out a surprise second, though. I'm calling Dove for second place and Acosta for third.
All right, well, let's go on to the silver category. Does Johnson have it in them to keep Yvonne, Erwin, and April behind? Keep in mind, all of those drivers within just about a 10.
Based on qualifying, yes, Johnson has been, well, rapid here. But I've got a feeling Yvonne and Erwin will not make it easy. I've got a feeling, unfortunately, Fury April might just drop back a bit, purely on the fact that the Ferrari can't eat the curbs quite as well as the Bentley can, and that will give them the advantage across the lap. But yeah, Sophie, Yvonne, and Sarah for the three-way fight for the silver win.
And of course, McKenna Santos on the pole position, but has the least amount of experience of any driver in this entire race, not just their class specifically. Can McKenna get it done today and get a win?
Oh, I'd like to say yes, because, you know, converting a pole to a win is a fantastic feeling, but I've got a feeling the length of the race might play against them here. As you mentioned, not quite as experienced as other racers. And Sarah O'Brien has just been on it all season long in that Bentley. So I've definitely got a feeling O'Brien will have something to say about Santos's potential first-class win. And we can't rule out Charlotte Robinson now that she's back on her wheel and not on a gamepad.
That is a very good point. Charlotte Robertson was on a gamepad for quite a long time. That no longer the case for the number 11 Lexus, but here they are, 2x2. I would say as far as the eye can see normally, but you can see the end of this train. It's actually quite a short train, short procession 2x2, but the long run down the dog-legged front straight here before the green flag and the lights come on for one final time in Diamond Drive Season 3. Adol Rose and Fox, the leading pair. Acosta and Dove behind them. Johnson and Yvonne, the leaders in silver. Santos and O'Brien, the leaders in AM. What will this race have in store? Will it be a clean turns 2 and 3? We're about to find out as they all make it down the front straightaway. The green flag is out, the lights are on, and we're racing for one more time. The 56 gets a clean getaway. Rose out front of Fox. Acosta falling in line down the inside and trying to keep Dove behind them and does just about that. Johnson peeking in the background as well.
Yeah, so it seems like almost everyone got through clean. There is a yellow flag out, I believe.
That's a
717 is Fury April, yeah. So unfortunately, Fury April getting caught in some sort of tussle into, well, officially turn 2 and 3. But yeah, unfortunately, it looked like Fox got a good start, but didn't seem to be able to get the jump on the BMW, just seemed to have the legs on the McLaren there. And unfortunately now, well, unless Fox can really take the fight to Anal Rose, I've got a feeling that is already that fight done.
Well, Anal Rose makes so very few mistakes, it would be hard to catch them, especially with the gap. Nearly a second between the two of them, if not a second between the two of them, but you never say never. Justin Bieber taught me that, by the way. Sophie Erwin trying their best. McKenna Santos was the big beneficiary of whatever happened to Fury April. I'm not sure where the contact came in, but I can tell you McKenna now is in between the silver field.
Yeah, that's a dream start for McKenna there. Obviously, completely putting to rest everything I said about their lack of experience potentially coming to play against them, as we see Alice Horton all over the back of Santos there, desperately trying to... Oh, McKenna's gone deep into the corner, and, well, unfortunately, Horton didn't need to fight that one too hard, as we see Dove and Acosta going side by side now. Just seems like the BMW has the straight line speed, but, well, maybe Dove can get the McLaren shuffled through the corners a little bit better than what the BMW can get around them.
Dove got dived around the outside right there. That's not how that works. It's Dove done dive down the inside.
Oh, Jesse, you're getting so much better at that. I'm so proud.
Alliteration. I've been working on it. But Dove back a spot now. Acosta coming back through, which leads me to believe that Acosta got passed up by Dove at some point. Didn't quite catch that. They were side by side for quite a little bit. But now Acosta clear and through. Dove will be looking in the mirror at Yvonne, who is the leading silver car now. And that means that Yvonne has got by Johnson on the last lap.
Oh, yeah, you're correct, Jesse. We're going to see exactly what happened here.
So this is the start of the race.
Yeah. Oh, so Sarah John's got a little bit of a bump, but Yvonne was already past. So I'm wondering if Yvonne.
Oh, there it
is.
is.
That's how Fury April unfortunately got turned around. That is extremely unfortunate.
We're going to take another look.
Catch it again.
Yeah, look at this. You're going to see the Ferrari get turned by the all-black Bentley, and that is why the 717 was backwards on the racetrack. And Johnson just unfortunately getting into the car there, and I believe that was McKenna Santos off again in the background as well.
So let's see, who's Sophia on? Is that Sarah O'Brien? So yeah, Sophia Arian just a little bit rude there, just kind of force it down the inside, but unfortunately they come off far worse than that, dropping probably about a second or two behind Johnson there, and now has Alice Horn all over their rear wing.
Something else, Elle is, I would say, the better part of a quarter, if not a half of a lap behind the field. Don't know if they had an off at some point as well. But they are off the back of the field just a little bit. The only reason I noticed that was because April was up into 12th place at the time. A lot of replays here from Jake the Bosmeister Boswell. There's a lot going on that we didn't see initially. Yeah,
we were so focused on the fight at the front that we seemed to gloss over and or miss what happened at the back. So Fury April already, catching the tail end of the field here, looking for the move on the inside of Robertson. Robertson covers it off, but then does run a little bit wide. Has to leave space for Fury April there, and seems like very sensibly realizes that position is gone, hands over the corner, and now Fury April back on a recovery drive through the field. As we see, is that Sarah O'Brien off the track there in the Bentley?
I think that is. That has to be Sarah O'Brien, and it is. The Bad Girl Racing Bentley has gone off, and as far as I can tell, that wasn't contact and nearly looped it there, but good driving, able to rein that car in and get it over top of the hill. Aqua Minerale, a very dangerous race, or part of the racetrack, because you can get yourself out of sorts very, very quickly, and it's very hard to gather it all back up when it goes very wrong. Sarah Johnson continues in second place. Of course, we do have live stewarding, like we have all season long, and after those replays that we saw, they have some work to do. Oh, look at this in the background! Sophie Erwin goes Tokyo Drift style. Oh, just too much inside curb. Never had it for the left-hander.
Jeez, that was well held, though. I think, personally, I would have dropped that long ago. Did very well to keep it pointed in the right direction, but in a 90-minute race, destroying your tyres this early on is something you definitely do not want to be doing. And that is going to hurt Sophie Arian for the first part of this stint. And if she has to pit early to change tyres, it's going to hurt her in the second part of her stint as well.
I mean, that's a good point that you made there as well. The only solace you can take in that fact is the fact that you don't have to run 90 minutes on these tires, but doing it so early makes you wonder when you will come in and get those tires off, because if they go 45 minutes to the halfway point in this race, after doing one of those spins, or one of those slides, that wasn't a full spin, mind you, that will heat up the tires, that will make them very unhappy, and it's almost impossible to get them back to where they are, not to mention the wear that you get regardless. Well, Nate, I feel like we assumed that this was coming. Drive-through penalty for car 888 for spinning car 717.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was just a clumsy lap one incident. Could the AAA have left more space? Probably not without going up on the curb, but could they have taken themselves out of that situation? Probably, yeah.
Well, the damage done. Johnson coming in immediately, almost as if Sarah was expecting that penalty to come through. McKenna giving up the spot to Fury April, whom they are not racing against, even after a lap one issue for McKenna. Still leading in class, has the better part of 5 seconds to Charlotte Robertson, who, by the way, qualified last and is up to second in class now.
I mean, that's just good driving. It's also just being able to take advantage of your competitors' mistakes as well, because to win, you just really need to be consistent. As long as you can keep it between the white lines, chances are you'll probably do better than people who are running off the track.
Well, I always used to say I'd rather have a stable car I can drive than one that is fast and on the edge. And, well, I'm not an esports driver, so of course I think like that. But it makes it easier for longer races if you're comfortable with the race car. And also, just letting everybody else make mistakes around you is a good idea. Just don't make any mistakes. Don't do anything you don't have to do behind the wheel, and pick up the pieces. And that's dangerous for Charlotte Robertson to allow them to get all that track position, all those spots, and also now to look like maybe they have something for the podium here today. Of course, O'Brien, who's in third place now, right behind them, but still, you know, it depends on what kind of driver you are, Nate. Are you the kind that likes to chase, or are you the kind that likes to lead and defend, you know?
Well, I'd probably say lead and defend, but that's purely because when I do the long endurance events, I race with a couple of quick guys who normally put me so far up the field, I'm way out of my depth. So I just have to try and defend from the guys behind me that are like 2 seconds a lap faster. So yeah, prefer to lead and defend. I find it easier to avoid a car that I can see coming towards me a little bit quicker than I do to avoid spearing into the back end of another car.
I completely agree with that statement. That it was almost like you were talking about me right there. The 56 Rose out in front by 6 seconds over Fox. We kind of assumed that that was going to happen, but 6 seconds. Oh no, Charlotte Robertson. Was that by themselves there?
Oh, I'm not quite sure. We got Jake on cameras who's about to show us what happened. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Too much inside curb. Just spun it up. That's super unfortunate, but wow, that's a mistake I'm sure she won't make twice.
That's so frustrating. It's just you're on the curb and you gas it up a little bit too early, Nate. You're going to do that, and it's not even that you go around. It's just that it unsettles you and you're sideways, and all of a sudden you know you're not driving off the corner. You're still rotating. And that's exactly what happened there. Just trying to pick it up, had a car in the mirror and was trying to outrun them, and it all went a bit pear-shaped. But Robertson's still in it, and compared to the huge slide we saw earlier by Erwin, I think Robertson's tires will be in a lot better shape for that. We'll have to pay attention to that and see how that works out for both of those. Speaking of Sophie Erwin, now chasing down Horton again here. This is the battle for, or will be the battle for second place anyway. Gap seems to be fluctuating a little bit, and you can see Erwin's car is not happy. It just doesn't seem planted right now. Hard to tell if that was like that before the Tokyo Drift slide.
Yeah, not too sure, but I'm not sure if it's tires or if maybe Erwin might just be overdriving the car slightly, just a little bit frustrated by the slide, trying to get back up into the position that they believe they should be in, and is now, like I said, overdriving the car, just causing it to slide, which will not help the issue. It will compound the overheating of the tires by sliding the car, even just marginally, because if you don't get them back into their operating window, which will cost you, a couple of tenths a lap just while you take it easy, let them cool down. They obviously won't cool down, they'll stay warm, and you will just continuously put heat back into them, which will wear them out quicker, you'll slide more, and it's not a fun time.
The other thing too as a driver is when you see somebody in front of you and it's tangible and it's real and you can go up there and you know you have the speed. Sophie knows that they have the speed to go catch Alice Horton and make a race out of it. But that's part of the problem. You end up overdriving the car a lot of the time as well, because you're salivating a little bit because you know you have a battle and you know you can go race somebody, and you just get a little bit too over-eager, and maybe that could be a little bit of it too. It's so hard to learn that as a driver, that restraint of, look, maybe I'll catch them a little bit later, but the car will also be in better nick as well. Well, this is the leader of the race, and, well, if it's the first time you've seen them all day, well, it's the first time we've seen them all day as well. Enola Rose, the Queen's Design 56 BMW, well out in front as predicted. Almost 8 seconds the gap now, and that's about a second a lap, which makes sense because that's what it was in the practice or in the qualifying session, rather. Wow, Enola Rose just dominating the pro field as they have done all season long.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that one person has that much pace. I mean, well, we're sort of 7 laps in, and it's, well, as you mentioned, Jesse, almost an 8-second gap, so it's a smidgen over, what, a second a lap quicker than the rest of the field. It must get lonely at the top.
I don't know how lonely it is up at the top. You got you and your best friends, all of your trophies from the season to keep you company.
Yeah, all them trophies.
You know, Lightning McQueen, I think it was actually Doc from that series that said that they're just empty cups. Yes, but they're made of gold, though.
And I know shiny things make me happy.
Yeah, you and me both. Well, here we go. The battle for second place.
So it looks like Sophie's got the inside, and it seems like Alice not going to fight it too hard. Probably just trying to avoid any contact, but definitely seems to have the drive off of those 2 corners, and you will carry the speed all the way down this straight as a result of that. We see Alice pull out just to show the nose, but no, unfortunately, Sophie's got that one wrapped up.
It's an interesting maneuver by Alice Horton. I didn't expect Alice to do that. Just sort of let Erwin go by. But once they did go by, re-engage there. Did you see the little nose that Horton gave Erwin there? Coming down into turn 5 and 6. Just gave a look, but didn't really do anything to stop them going around. Now, to me, I would call that intelligent driving. And now Horton will see if they can get something going here to try and get back around. But also, too, by doing that, not fighting like that, preserved third place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better to take the small loss now with no contact and the car passes you than to fight it tooth and nail, have contact, and then you both get X amount of seconds of damage, you both lose X amount of seconds of time, and everyone just has sort of a bad day. So Alice's new mission, I can only assume, would be either to stay with Sophie Erwin, or purely just defend from Fury April. Fury April still, what's that, about 7 seconds back? So we'll have to watch that gap as we see Sophie Erwin ever so slightly just pulling away, but maybe not at the rate that we expected.
No, certainly not that. At the rate that Erwin caught Horton and passed them, you would expected the gap to be ballooned out by a lap from now, but it really isn't. Still very close between the two of them, around a half a second or so, give or take. But I just feel like Erwin has a little bit more into and maybe even off of the corner, but down the straight it's almost like Horton has a little bit more speed. So an interesting fight between the two of them, and obviously you can see that Erwin's car is way more loose than Horton, and maybe that's something that Alice is dealing with, is a tight race car. Because look at that, look at Erwin. We're riding on board with Alice Horton in the passenger seat, and you can see leaving the corner off of almost every corner Sophie's car is wiggling, fighting for grip.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Jesse. That's a very good observation there. Horton's car seems very smooth. It's like almost one sweep of the wheel into the corner. There's no real sort of fighting. There's no feel of the back end stepping out. But as you mentioned, we can see Sophie Erwin's car just giving a little wiggle every time she gets on the power and comes out of the corners. So, yeah, it seems that, as you mentioned, Jesse, it's that old having a fast car that's loose versus having a car that holds pace but is very stable.
It's interesting how different two, basically out of the box anyway, identical race cars can be. And obviously they're set up very differently. You can visually see that, but it is amazing. You can have identical equipment in two completely different ways of handling and driving them. And I also wonder if that's almost by design from Sophie's car. Well, we talked about the drive-through earlier. Well, a warning for car 714 for dive bombing the 888 with contact, but the position was returned. So it must have been very minor contact, and the stewards were just awarding a warning for that maneuver.
Yeah, good to see that minor contact does only get a warning. I think we may see a replay here. Yeah, so it just seems Soviero in quite late on the brakes there, not quite making the corner. 888 goes to turn in and just catches a face full of the rear end of that Bentley.
I will admit, I was wondering what a contact warning for an overtake looked like, and yeah, I agree with that 100%. The position was surrendered regardless because they overran the corner. There was minor contact, but because the impedance to the 888 was so small, it's like swatting at a mosquito almost in that case. But of course, the 888 had that drive-through anyway, and those are the only two incidents that have come through. But I'm pretty sure Mr. Jedi Jake the Bosmeister Boswell has shown us more than that, so I continue to expect to see more stewards' notes come through.
I think Jake's been quite on it with just replays of overtakes, actually, so hopefully, Jesse, for me, for you, for the competitors, for everyone watching, there is no more... Wait, where did Charlotte Robinson go? Oh!
Oh, no!
Let's see what happened here. So they're side by side, so Johnson gets the move done fair and square.
Is this just driving into the grass?
So loses it on entry.
That's easy to do regardless. You just carry too much speed in there. It's a sweeping corner. It's actually tighter than it looks like it is on camera, folks.
Well, Robertson's had another incident. Yeah, look, there it is.
I think those tires are done on the 11 car.
That is down at Water Mineral.
You mean Aqua Minerale?
That's what I said.
I know it's what you said in Italian, or in English, but that's... oh, boy. I just don't know what I'm going to do with you. I'm stuck in the box with you.
I've been lining that one up all evening.
Have you? Oh, my goodness. What am I going to do with you, Nate? But Charlotte Robertson does get it back. And that right there, that was dirty tires. That second spin was dirty tires. But that first one, that's a fast, sweeping left-hand corner. It's not quite as fast as you think it is. You can easily overcook it through there and cause yourself a lot of strife. And that's exactly what happened there for Charlotte Robinson. You know, Rose got a little sideways coming off the final turn.
Yeah, I feel like we don't need to worry too much about Rose's tires. I feel like with the gap that they have, they're not really in any danger. They could probably afford to maybe drive the car at sort of 90% and still hold the advantage they have. It'd be nice if they did. I'm going to be honest with you. It'd be great if they could just slow down a bit and let everyone else catch up.
Miguel Martins, by the way, making fun of us in chat. Of course, Miguel Martins he was supposed to make his broadcast debut here at RCI tomorrow, but the Thursday Championship pushed back a week, which actually means, I'm pretty sure, Miguel Martins will be making his broadcast debut at the 12 hour of, I think it's Silverstone, this weekend. So Miguel making fun of Nate and I, though. That's okay, Miguel. You're in the box with me this weekend, and I'll make sure it's very fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely warn him about you, Jesse, so he'll be well prepared.
I'm sure he will. Oh, my goodness. Like I said, we tend to have fun here on the RCI broadcast, and 90-minute race, it's almost endurance level in the box for us, but Anal Rose continues to lead. 12 laps, 14-second gap. That's a choo-choo train with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, I watch these streams back occasionally, and I watch what Rose does in the car, and I just cannot work it out for the life of me how someone is just that quick.
Yeah, it brings up another point as well. What will Rose do? Because obviously Rose will be catching lap traffic, not imminently, but fairly soon. And of course, it's always harder for the leader to get through the lap traffic. At least it seems like that. And give credit to Nicole Fox, just having an amazing race out of second place, keeping Acosta at bay. That is Acosta's pink BMW in the background there, but keeping them at bay to 2 seconds. So the pace is definitely there for Fox and Acosta. It's just Rose on a completely different level.
Yeah, it really is. It's I mean, I don't want to say it's unfair because it's sort of just like you know, everyone has the chance to step their game up to get onto that level. But yeah, it's just it's too quick. Again, I say it every week. It's very Sebastian Vettel with his Red Bull time, where he would sort of turn up, get pole, win the race, and go home. And that's exactly what Rose is doing here.
Well, we talked to Anor once and asked, you know, what if we put some sandbags in the back of your car, weighed the car down a little bit, and I believe that was agreed upon. So maybe we can do that. Anything to keep Anor from just wreaking havoc on the pro field. I just, of course, it's just an amazing performance from the Queen's Design BMW group this season, led by Anor Rose. Now, I saw a car, BMW, with a lot of front-end damage, and I have also noticed, yes, and that's L's car. So L's 292 has massive frontal damage, and we didn't see that on that car earlier. Now, I know I was told earlier by Phil Roberts that the 292 had gone off the track quite like that, in fact. But I don't think they had contact with anything, so the contact came from somewhere else. And McKenna Santos pitted from the lead in the AM class, making Sarah O'Brien the leader in AM now. Was that too early to pit, Nate?
Well, it depends. If they'd underfueled the car from qualifying, then absolutely not. It needed to be done. But, yeah, I would argue. I mean, I always go 50-50. I say this every time you ask me this question. I'm a straight down the middle guy. I like to split the race into 2 equal halves. That's me sort of done. So yeah, to pit, well, within the first sort of 30 minutes of a 90-minute race, yeah, arguably there will be problems come the end of the race for that car.
Well, we've got our best man on it, by the way. We're trying to figure out where the damage from L's car came from, and Jedi Jake, the Bosmeister Boswell, is looking for that particular incident. But yeah, I agree with you. At the hour mark, if I'm me, I start thinking about it, pitting. I probably don't until 45-minute mark, but I would probably not pit before an hour. But that also, because they had a decent lead, 7 seconds out in front of the AM class, that might have prompted that move to come in, get the stop done, based on a gap they saw on the racetrack. Maybe, I don't know. But we'll have to see. That's certainly an interesting call and not a normal call.
No, I'd argue, but then we're not sure why it was done. It could be underfueled. Maybe they had a big slide and ruined the tires. The possibilities are endless, Jesse. The only way we'll find out will be to ask at the end of the race. But yeah, I can't see that move paying off for that car.
Yeah, very interesting as well. We'll have to. It won't matter for the next 40 minutes. That decision doesn't matter. The problem is the final 15 to 20 minutes, where you need the car to be somewhat decent, so that you may defend if you need to. That's the part that I would be very concerned about. Of course, we have dipped away from live pictures, but this is on purpose. We're trying to find what happened to L, the 292, who has very clearly had front-end damage from something, and quite heavy damage at that.
Yeah, so it seems old Jedi Jake has waved his magic hand and has found the instant here, so what happens?
Oh, so this was lap 1.
Is it lap 1?
Oh!
No, I don't think. Oh, maybe it is.
It is lap. So I was incorrect. I thought that the incident that L got into, and this is, by the way, is just too much curb and gas. And hard into the wall, massive damage. That's at least 30 seconds worth of damage. So L has continued to drive with that damage on the car and has yet to pit. So that's very interesting indeed. I did not realize there was damage, but that is where it came from. That was lap 1, and that's why the 292 was 13th, even after the 717 was spun early. So there you go. Kudos to Jake on that one.
Jake, the man with all the angles and all the eyes, he's got us covered for, well, almost anything that we ask him to. But
oh dear.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So that car's going to be a right handful, I would imagine now, with that significant front end damage. So, yeah, maybe L wanting to just run to their strategy, whatever it may be, and not pit early, and obviously feeling the car is drivable enough to stay out.
Yeah, and also too, another thing to mention is sometimes what we see visually is better or worse than actually what's going on. For instance, you can smash up a car. I'm very familiar with smashing up the McLaren, and the lights flicker. I think that does that in every car. If you smash it up enough, when you're on the brake, it'll start to flash the lights, and the lights malfunction and all that stuff. But nobody else can see that but you, not even a broadcaster, not even us here in the studio. So sometimes it looks better than it is. Sometimes it can indeed look worse than it is. That might be the case here. I've been talking about our broadcaster a lot, and Phil Roberts has went ahead and rewrote in the history books his official name, Jedi Jake the Bosmeister Bodgemaster Bodget Boswell. That's really hard to say. He also forgot Saint. I've given him I've sainted him because of his ability to save streams that are misbehaving as well. So that would be Saint Jedi Jake, the Bodgemaster Bodget Boswell.
Where is the old man coming to that?
And I got that out without stumbling over that. So
come on,
I'm gonna go
squeeze
ahead.
Old man in there. Come on, you can do it.
I would. Well, I mean, I can't call Jake an old man because that just makes me older.
Well, yeah, but you can still call him old.
I'm not going to do that. It's not going to happen.
Okay, boomer.
Wow, getting real in the box. 1 hour to go. If this was a normal DDC race, this will be right after the green flag. But no. We've been racing for 30 minutes. In that time, Rose has amassed a 19-second lead. Fox has just about outfoxed Nate Acosta for second place. That gap has grown to about 4 seconds. Sarah Dove, 10 seconds off the rears in fourth place in that class. This here is the leader in silver. Yvonne took the lead from the 888 and has led ever since, but has a 3-second lead to Erwin, who, mind you, was third earlier in this race. Actually, he was fourth. No, excuse me, they were third. Alex Horton was second. Charlotte Robertson's going to give way to Yvonne here. But Erwin, who is the Bentley in the background there, the black and red affair, almost a burgundy color, wouldn't you agree, Nate? Is Sophie Erwin's car. Very closely following and catching.
Yeah. Sorry, you made me completely lose my train of thought there, Jesse. Yeah, where are we?
We're at Imola for the BBC finale, Nate, and Sophie Erwin's catching Yvonne. And I wonder how much of that was traffic related. We saw Charlotte Robertson give way, and then Erwin caught up by about a second. It was 3.5, and now it's 2.6, but even still, Erwin must have done a better job getting through, because still catching, though, is the 714. Horton third place in silver. Sarah O'Brien leads the AM class over Robertson and L. McKenna, who qualified on pole and had a 7-second lead in that class, chose to pit really early in this race, and time will only tell how that turns out for the 22.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the strategies that come out. Obviously Santos has pitted very, very early.
Cards on the table.
Yeah, no one else has, but will that work to their advantage? I've got a feeling the fresh tyres of their competitors come the end of the race might, well, be an advantage to the credit and disadvantage to Santos, but hopefully if they can gain time, obviously, over the pit stops, then it should work out in their favour. We'll just have to wait and see, Jesse.
I don't want to say this because I don't want to be the person that does this to anybody, but drive-through penalties, right, for track limits is a thing, and it's a major issue here at Imola. And also speeding in the pit lane is very common here as well. The unique angle that you enter pit lane and the line across the racetrack that's sort of in a narrow corridor can wreak havoc on the straightaway as well. O'Brien giving way to the leader. So that means that Adel Rose has lapped up to 10th place. Well, so there you have it. The 9 cars left on the lead lap. But penalties could happen here, and you just never know. Take this moment before we bring you back to some more penalty reports to thank our partners race department, AK Informatica, Driver 61, Fanatec, and SimRacing.gp. We'll have more about those fantastic folks after the race today. And I did promise you a penalty report, and I do have it. You'll notice that there are no red numbers or letters beside anyone's name, and that's a good call because there has been a racing incident between the 714 and the 25 deemed minor contact. I think we have that from earlier. You might have seen this earlier, but just take another look at. No, this is brand new. That was brand new. I got tricked there. But yes, indeed, minor contact there, and a warning for car 11 for quote-unquote dangerous driving. Releases brakes coming onto the racing line. So must have had an off there and came back on the track. Dangerous driving warning for the 11.
Yeah, but we see now, Jesse, so obviously Sophie Erwin dispatched about his Horton some laps ago. Now all over the back of Yvonne here. And I've got a feeling that Erwin really is overdriving the car, and it's going to bite hard very, very soon. But, I mean, it's fantastic to watch, but, yeah, Erwin, calm it down a little bit. There's still 55 minutes to go.
Well, it's getting very close between the top two. What does Sophie Erwin do? I've been on an adventure today in the 714. I think we could all agree. Has climbed up the entire podium positions and now only has one step to go to take the top step here. What will Yvonne do? Does Yvonne defend as if their life depends on it? Do they come in and pit and make the first decision in that, or do they stay out and continue to try and keep Sophie behind? I think that's the right answer. That second one, I think you have to keep the 714 behind because clearly Sophie has erased a 4-second gap. Actually, it was probably a bit more than that. So what do you reckon? Yvonne's only chance here to keep the ball in their court is to stay in front of Sophie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, I've got a feeling that Yvonne doesn't seem to be pushed very hard. Obviously, they had great pace in qualifying, so we know there's pace in the car. But yeah, the way Sophie seems to have sort of just cruised up makes me think that Yvonne is taking it easy, trying to preserve the tyres, go a little bit longer into the race. And Sophie is just guns blazing, absolutely going for it at the moment.
Well, the R8G esports driver definitely not allowing Sophie to get right up behind them or inviting the pass here. And I think that's what Yvonne will do. Yvonne's probably trying to drive to right around the halfway point in the race, so that'd be just about job done if they can hold on to this for another 7 minutes or so. But the question is, will Sophie be patient and allow that to happen as they miss the apex of the hairpin a little bit, but not a big enough gap to let Sophie through? Defensive line, and now off to the right here is going to just let Sophie by now.
Yeah, that seemed almost as if Yvonne sort of rolled over there. That was I don't know if maybe the instant in the hairpin maybe gave them a bad drive, but yeah, that seemed far too easy. Yeah, well, everything we've just been talking about, Jesse, has gone out the window.
Yeah, once again proving that I don't really know what I'm talking about. Steven in chat does know what they're talking about. Says, to think Erwin almost didn't make this race. Well, right you are. Joined with 10 minutes left to qualifying. Set a few invalid laps, in fact. It was about 5 minutes to go before they set their first valid lap, and now leads in the silver class.
Yeah, that's quite an impressive feat if you think about it, as we see. Whoa, the Fox grabbing a little bit too much curve there. Seemed to just push the car wider than I imagine anyone would have liked there. With Acosta sort of not really giving Fox much room to breathe here.
Well, the question becomes, will Fox crack under the pressure? Will Acosta be able to make the pass here? BMW has been able to catch the McLaren. Catching is one thing, passing is quite another, and I expect, now keep in mind, I don't know anything because I got the other thing wrong between Erwin and Yvonne, but I imagine the majority of these lead lap cars will pit around the halfway point.
I give up trying to make any guesses, Jesse. We just seem to get it wrong every time.
Hey, we got that Anor was going to run away with it. We got that one.
Oh, now you've done it.
We got that one.
Now you've done it.
No.
I'm not saying anything else than that.
Nate, I am confident that Rose is uncursable.
Oh, no. Oh, Jesse, you fool. What have you done?
I'm just really hoping she doesn't know where I live.
I'm going to tell her. I know where you live.
Well, the Queen's Design 56 has had a excellent season, and you can't always have said that about Anor Rose's Diamond Drive Cup challenges, can you? Remember season 1, race 1 went absolutely awful. It was going all Anor's way, and then it just fell apart. And season 2 had its ups and downs for sure, but this season it has been almost picture perfect driving every single race. Unflappable, I would argue, has Rose been in the pro class. But the question now, what does Nicole Fox have for Ruby Acosta, who has ran them down for second place?
Well, I don't know. I'd say Fox has the advantage, but that's purely based on the fact that she's ahead right now. Or, Jesse, there is a ride-through coming for car 292, and I don't believe we've had any reports for it, so I would say that is a ACC enforced track limits penalty.
Yeah, and of course we saw Elle having issues keeping it on the racetrack, and I mentioned pre-race today, it's actually quite easy to run wide, actually lose time, and still get a track limits warning. I fear Elle has done that several times today, and now it's a drive-through penalty for track limits.
Unfortunate, frustrating, irritating, all of those emotions. Now Elle just has to hope, and I'm touching wood for no commentator's curse here, that they don't get a penalty for pit lane speeding, because that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, the only thing worse than getting a drive-through penalty is having to come down pit lane again because you sped in your attempt to get to pit lane. And some of you at home might say, well, that's a bit silly. Surely they don't do that. It happens more often than you think. If you're a frustrated driver, the last thing you're thinking about is getting onto pit road gingerly. You're likely slamming it on the brakes right at the line, trying to get it down, trying to engage the limiter, because you're already hot and you're frustrated inside that helmet. So that it happens all the time. Didn't on this particular occasion Elle able to escape such a fate.
Well, count the lucky stars, me touching wood seemed to have worked. But back to this battle, Jesse. Erwin absolutely sliding it through the corners there, and I was about to say, doesn't look like Yvonne hasn't really let Sophie run too far away, so either...
Look at this!
Oh, Yes.
All
Sophie
right,
really driving that car hard.
look, that's so good. All right, that is excellent that we caught that both times. That car has been sideways this entire race. That has got to be a setup characteristic of that 714.
I'd be inclined to agree with you, but I can't personally see it being a good one because it must be, well, I suppose it can't evidently based on the pace Sophie is holding, but it must be absolutely destroying the tyres there.
Well, put it to you this way, normally you plan your race to stay on the same tires for 1 hour. Here, if you really wanted to, you could plan it out for 45 minutes, so maybe you could get away with destroying them a little bit because you're basically taking 15 minutes off the tires. And if you use that 15 minutes by taking the life out of it, I mean, why not? But I'm not sure that that was the thought process to that. I just know that Erwin's putting on a show for us in the booth because every time Sophie does that, I withdraw into the seat a little bit.
Well, final race may as well go out with a bang, I suppose. Jesse. We have our first hitter.
Yep, and almost right on cue, Alice Horton pits out of third place in the silver class. That'll drop them down, but they will do their required stop. A tire change here, some fuel in the car, and they will be back out as Horton will be the first among many to come to pit lane. And Elle has had another incident and more damage to the front of that BMW. Now, they're already off the track here. Do they spin across trying to get back on? Yes, they do.
That is unfortunate. They were, well, trying to do their best to stay out of the way of the leaders there, as we still see Elle seems to sort of be stuck there, maybe? Not quite sure what's going on, waiting for cars to pass. So I'd imagine after the leader goes through there, yep, here we go. Elle is making their cautious rejoin back onto the racetrack.
Well, it's been a tough day for Elle, but continuing, and that's how you win the Spirit of the Race award. Well, this battle did not go away as planned. I'm inclined to believe your take on this, Nate. I think Yvonne, on purpose, let that happen and is driving a very conservative race on purpose for whatever reason that might be. I think Yvonne's the one holding all the cards right now.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with you, as you're agreeing with me. So is that like an agreeception?
Or shaking hands, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I would, say definitely Yvonne definitely was holding something in the tank. How many more times can I say definitely in one sentence? But yeah, because Sophie Erwin obviously cruised up to the back, but now that she's ahead cannot run away. As we see, Ruby Acosta is pitted, Fury April is also in the pits, and so is our leader, Anor Rose.
Some of the leaders coming in. I expect that procession to continue. I can tell you that Elle is very slowly, gingerly trying to make their way back to the pit lane, and this group, led by Sophie Erwin, is going to catch up to Elle. There is Elle. That car has got severe damage. Nicole Fox is in, and I believe Dove is in as well. Yes, there is the BMW, or excuse me, the Bentley rather. Or excuse me, no wait, that was a Bentley that came in. That was not, I mean, Dove is in, but I saw a Bentley come in as well. Elle trying to get this car back to pit lane. Severe damage, you would imagine suspension and all sorts on that BMW.
Yeah, it did seem like it hit the wall fairly hard, but yeah,
that was Alice Horton's Bentley, by the way, that I was confusing for Sarah for some reason. I don't know why I did that, but that was Alice Horton's 25 that came in to pit lane. That was in between them.
So, who's that behind them? Is that Anor Rose? Have these two, well, I won't say jumped Anor, because obviously Rose is a pit stop up, but they are ahead of Rose. So now, can they just cause havoc by interfering with Rose's plans and slowing her down a little bit.
That's an interesting strategy, surely. As you see, Elle does make it back to the pit lane safely after all. Nicole Fox out of the pit lane, and there is another Bentley in the background, as there's only a couple of cars that have yet to pit. And I am very interested in looking at this AM battle now, because unless this timing board is still messed up, Sarah Bryan has kept the lead in the AM class, despite the fact that Charlotte Robertson hasn't pitted, and despite the fact that McKenna Santos came in with the lead.
Yeah, that's Sarah Bryan must have had a significant advantage. The timing board is saying that Charlotte Robertson is only 0.6 behind, but obviously Robertson still has a pit stop to make. I'm just trying to pick them out on the track map here. Yeah, see, I can't seem to, well, be able to do that. No, well, it seems to have refreshed, and yeah, Sarah Bryan is ahead of Charlotte Robertson after their pit stop.
Yvonne here battling with Rose. Of course, Yvonne still has to pit. Sophie Erwin now leads the race overall, with Yvonne in second place, now split by the Queen's Design BMW. No doubt Yvonne will hope that Erwin gets held up, and that's not it's not, I mean, it is for position, obviously, but Erwin and Yvonne are racing each other, and they haven't yet to pit. Quite curious that they haven't come into pit yet.
Yeah, so it seems that actually this battle here that we're watching, Jesse, Yvonne seems to just drop back, well, quite a significant amount actually. So I'm not quite sure what has happened there, because, well, it was sort of nose to tail with Sophie for a while, and obviously the BMW Rose got involved, as we see. Oh, that looked close from that angle.
I think Sophie expected Rose to launch through that chicane a little quicker than Rose did. Sophie, though, up on the wheel, avoided incident, and Yvonne has now fallen off of this group quite a little bit. And a correction, Tom Bryant's corrected me and said that McKenna was not the leader in the AM class at the time of her pit stop, that McKenna had crashed prior to coming to pit lane, which, if that is the case, would explain why McKenna came in so very early.
That would indeed make sense, as we see Yvonne making their pit stop. But interestingly enough, Sophie Erwin staying out.
I don't know about that decision, Nate. I wouldn't, but Sophie has done such a good job. It would be hard to not go with plan A at this point, which I suspect Sophie's still doing.
Well, I mean, if the car feels good, just, I suppose, keep on trucking, I guess.
It doesn't look good, though. It looks very scary. But maybe that's what Erwin has set it up to do. Steven in chat reckons that it's not meant to do that. I'm unconvinced at this point that you would have the car drive like that unless you wanted it to drive like that. It's interesting, certainly. Maybe we'll get to ask Sophie post-race of what's going on with the 714. Adel Rose assumes the lead of the race again. A couple of cars still yet to pit. Charlotte Robertson is in. Yvonne exiting pit lane. Sarah Johnson has yet to pit as well. And that is the state of it here after the halfway point in the race. Track has warmed up just a little bit here. Temperature 14 degrees C. It started at 13, you'll remember, as the sun continues to come up here at Imola. 7:22 a.m. and 37 minutes of the race to go. Been a lot of questions on Sophie Erwin's pit strategy here. They've certainly driven up through the silver field today into the lead and are one of only 2 silver cars still yet to pit.
Yeah, so almost everyone's sort of filtering through their stops now. I can't imagine anybody will leave it much longer than this for fear of, well, being jumped in the stops. But I'm just trying to work out where everyone is sort of going to fall once it's all said and done. I mean, Soviet Airways definitely still seems to be putting laps in, so I've got a feeling they will come out in the first place position in silver, but I'm not quite sure where that's going to drop them overall.
Of course, there is a pit window in this race like there is in every race, but its only purpose is to keep you coming in at the end of lap 1 and at the end of the race. It isn't meant to keep you from coming in at any particular time except those 2 points in the race where the pit lane would likely be closed anyway. But I just don't. Whatever strategy Sophie has, if it's a winning strategy, it's going to be one somebody else attempts to replicate in the weeks to come. And there will be questions of how Sophie was able to take a car that was that loose and make it that fast and also pit very late and make that strategy work. Sarah Johnson's doing the same thing, though, in another Bentley. That 888 still has yet to pit. There's the only 2 cars.
I'm going to go with magic, a lot of luck and hopes and dreams on keeping those cars just moving as quick as they are on old tires.
I'm a big fan of unicorn dust myself.
Yep, that's the one. Unicorn dust, glitter, the whole works, Jesse. Let's go all out. But yeah, the only benefit though to these cars staying out as long as they are, as we actually see in the background there, Sarah Johnson come into the pit lane, is that they will have very fresh tires. What happened there? What are we gonna see here?
I don't. Now that's interesting because they're not in pit lane yet. Now they're in pit lane, and that's interesting. Oh, do you know what I think that was? Now that I just thought about it, I don't think Sarah Johnson had their pit options set up correctly, and they stopped short of the line to set up their pit options because they didn't want to have to do all of that at the same time and also find their pit stall. So the GTWR driver stopping in pit lane to set it up. And if it's not that, I have no explanation for what I just saw.
Yeah, that's definitely not the most efficient way to do it. But, I mean, if it gets you the correct setup you need, I mean, go for it, I suppose. But, yeah, so those cars, as we see the 714 come in now as well, are going to have significantly fresher tyres than everyone else, and potentially on the low fuel runs will get obviously quicker times on the lower fuel and fresher tyres. So maybe it might take a little bit of pain for staying out that long, but the reward should hopefully be greater.
Well, we've seen a lot of interesting things in the Diamond Drive Cup. Today, absolutely no different. Now, for those that might not be familiar with ACC, your pit options don't lock once you come into pit lane. You can change them at any given point, even during the stop, despite the fact that that doesn't help you because it doesn't update then. Until you're in the box, you can update your options. But what might have happened there for Johnson was Sarah might have been unaware of where the box for the 888 was. Because they came down pit lane earlier, but it was only a drive-through, remember. So they might have been unaware where the box was, didn't know if it was long or short, or the options could have been so jumbled up that they just needed to park and figure it out. Now, I'm sure the stewards would have preferred them to come into pit lane where it's a no collision zone, rather than sit there where it still is a collision zone. But besides that, wow.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Even if when you drive through the pits, I'm sure even if you come through for a penalty, you still see the box, don't you? I might be wrong here. I'm sure
I mean, I'm
many
sure you
people.
do, but I felt like Johnson made a decision on that pit stop to something is messed up with my stop. I am going to stop. I'm going to sort it out, and then I'm going to crack on with it, which was the right thing to do in a situation like that. Though I've never seen it happen like that, I have seen esports pros come into pit lane and park where the emergency services are right before the pit stalls start and sort their stuff out. I've seen them do that, and I've also seen them power off and on their sim racing equipment before a pit stop as well, or after a pit stop as well, in those lanes. I saw one park up right beside the safety vehicle near the end of the pit wall as well. Usually it's like an ambulance as well, or a medical car. But I've never seen anyone stop before they got into pit lane, so we saw something new today.
Yeah, well, every day's a learning day, as they say, Jesse.
Diamond Drive, man. It always surprises us in some way. Well, Erwin's pit strategy worked out somewhat, I'll say, but Erwin did have a 3+ second gap to Yvonne, and that gap is slowly coming down.
Wow. Ooh. What are we going to see? Oh, well, it's come down significantly now. I said it was about 3 seconds. We're now just under 2 seconds, Jesse. So maybe the turns have tabled, and now Yvonne is on the offensive and Sophie's on the defensive.
What did you just say?
What do you mean, what did I just say?
Never mind, moving on. The 714 made a very late stop with a very loose race car. Still unknown if that was done on purpose. Yvonne, who fell off at the end of that stint, has now gained some time back, but I will say lost about 3/10 and now is actually still losing about 3/10 a sector now. Maybe that was just Sophie's tires getting back up the temperature, as now Erwin is leaving Yvonne a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe you were right, Jesse. Maybe it was just the outlap. Oh, but no, it couldn't have been outlap. Sorry, no, like you said, just getting tires up to temperature. Oh, goodness me. Brain frazzled. But yeah, they seem to have come in now and, well, normal order resumed, maybe?
Well, Michael Redford in chat, not buying our conversation of having to configure your pit stop. I'm just saying stuff that I would have done if I looked at my pit schedule thing and I saw it was all messed up. I would probably also park and do that as well, rather than have to drive, look for my stall. But Michael Redford bringing up a good point as well. The mystery continues for that particular incident, an incident that wasn't an incident, mind you. But here is Sophie Erwin, the leader in the silver class, and Elle has had a further issue in the hairpin.
Just too much curb, unfortunately. And it just seems to have bottomed the car out and spun it round.
Luckily spun to the infield there, out of harm's way, but you can see the 292, that car looking in a lot better nick than it was about 15 minutes ago.
Yep, damage repaired. All the mechanics got the old speed tape out, duct tape the bonnet down, send it back out as Elle actually comes into pit lane there.
Interesting there. Probably reckoning that they're several laps off the pace anyway and would like to make a change to the race car, I would imagine, and will do that this time. Sarah Bryan, who took over the lead from McKenna early in this race, has not looked back. The 96 Bad Girl Racing Bentley has been a fantastic car to watch in the Ampfield all season long, and continues that impressive stretch here today, looking like champion-elect for the Amp class.
Well, don't count your chickens till they've hatched, Jesse. We've still got a smidge under 30 minutes, smidge over 25 minutes left of this race to go, and well, anything can happen.
You remember earlier, again, we've been talking about the 888 and why they stopped in pit lane like that. And I mentioned briefly that I'm not sure the stewards are going to appreciate blocking the track because that's not a no contact zone until you get over that line. Turns out I was correct. A warning for car 888 for parking the car at pit entry. That is a first for me, folks. I've never had that happen in all of my broadcasting.
No, I mean, I've definitely not been doing it as long as you have, old man, and I can't say I've seen it either.
Wow. I don't know what to say about that other than you'll be me one day. And whenever you can accurately tell when a thunderstorm's coming in without looking at the weather report, you'll look back and say, I miss that old man.
Do you feel it in your bones, do you, Jesse?
I actually do. I destroyed my knees as a teenager with the skateboard and the sports.
Bless.
Oh dear. Getting back to the race, 26 minutes left to go. The track is warming up, and it's warming up a bit more rapidly than it was earlier. We gained 2 degrees in 15 minutes. That may be an issue for somebody at the end if they're very close on their pressures. 15 degrees C track and ambient matched, and barely a cloud in the sky. It's been clean sailing for a lot of the top runners, but for Nicole Fox, they have had to settle for third place. Acosta did get through on that sequence of stops and is now several seconds ahead. Jedi Jake the Bosmeister Boswell says that there might have been an off for the McLaren, and as he looks for that, Nate, I gotta ask, we do this pretty much every season as we bring this one to a close. Can you pick a favorite moment from Diamond Drive Season 3?
Oh, dear. Off the top of my head, no. No, I cannot. Oh, that's a difficult one, Jesse. Seems that we do have a replay coming up here.
Ah, yes. So that's post pit stops for both Fox and Acosta. Oof. And a difficult place, just too much curb in the McLaren, never a good mix. And Fox loops it and Acosta gets through, but it was very close indeed here. As Fox wants to get going, has to let Acosta through. So that's a free second place for Ruby Acosta, and an unfortunate unforced error from Fox there.
Yeah, McLaren, well, all the mid-engines cars quite sensitive to the curbs here. Unfortunately, can't sort of jump over them as easily as the BMWs or the Bentleys can. So that was well avoided by Acosta there.
Acosta's life was literally in Nicole Fox's hands right there. We're going to ride once more on board with Nicole Fox. See what happened exactly. Outside curb, turning down to the inside, just too much sausage curb. Spins out here. And just barely has enough. That space was a BMW wide, and it had to be.
Yeah, that was, I mean, smart of Nicole to hold the brake. Otherwise, obviously, yeah, a big incident would have occurred, but oh yeah, I think it definitely would have been squeezing everything pretty tight if I was Acosta for that one.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time we saw a car park it on the sausage curbs, as Nate McConnell, a.k.a. Grim, has pointed out in chat. Of course, we saw McKenna lose a race earlier in the season at Monza for something very similar, though Fox was able to keep going in that case. But it's just an unfortunate moment, and the question becomes, can Fox catch Acosta? They were so close all the race leading up to that point. It'd be a tall order for Fox to get back up there. 6 seconds.
Yeah, tall order, and unfortunately, I think Fox and Acosta were pretty evenly matched on their sort of race pace. So unless Acosta has a similar incident to what Fox had, I've got a feeling it might end that way round for those two cars.
being told that Sarah Johnson in the 888 Bentley has had an off as well. Didn't see a waved yellow sector for that car, but the stewards are ever watching, and they will have been able to see that. We didn't. That car, of course, running 9th overall, last in class here today. And L has retired their car, and that is the only retirement we've had today. Mercifully, the only retirement, as you wouldn't like to have too many retirements and only 13 competitors.
Yeah, no, we'd have a very small grid very quickly if that was the case. Unfortunate that we do have a retirement, but let's not let that take away from the fantastic action we've had on track so far.
Stephen in chat's mentioned you eat too much sausage, you get the meat sweats. I've never experienced like a full meat sweat. I don't eat enough meat, I guess.
I've not had it either. It always makes me laugh though. People say, "Oh, I've got the meat sweats." I'm like, "What? What are you doing, man?"
Well, I do love some. I do love meat, but I also love some veg in there as well. Well, we have found it, and by we I mean Jake the Bosmeister Boswell's found the Sarah Johnson incident. We were told that they went off, and just got that's just getting crossed up, Nate. It came into, I think that's turn 5. I think that's what that is, and was already crossed up by the time they got in there. You'll notice the entry was bad as well. Take a look here. The entry, too much curve on the inside, too much speed, means they ran over the inside of turn 6, and by the time they got off of 6, they're already sideways, no traction on the outer curb, a spin, but no contact, thankfully.
Yeah, it was just that horrible sort of slow spin where the momentum is in the car. It's all on one side of the car, and you can feel it going, and you try and counter steer it, but everything, try as hard as you might, you can just not get it to line back up, and it's just such a slow and painful spin. Time does slow down when you have such a slow spin like those, and it's annoying is what it is, because you'd almost rather that it snapped the other way, because then at least then you know that the input you were putting into the car worked to an extent. But unfortunately, yeah, just a slow pirouette into the gravel. But as you mentioned, Jesse, no contact, and the car has continued on.
Final 20 minutes of the season. I still want your answer of what your favorite moment of the season was. I'm conflicted. We went 4 wide at Monza briefly, but 3 wide at Misano around the dog-legged back straight might be the highlight. Remember in that race, all the cars just sliding off the racetrack. It was such a difficult race. I think that might actually be it for me. It's just how hard, how physical of a race that was for everybody involved. And so many twists and turns, so many drive-through penalties. That entire race at Misano, probably the highlight for me. The low light for a lot of the drivers that wish that they could forget that. But as a broadcaster, I didn't know what was going to happen, and I loved it.
Can I pick 2 moments, 2 favorite moments? Of course.
It's your show, Nate. You can do whatever you want.
It's my show. That's it. I am Diamond Drive.
I didn't mean that exactly, but you know.
I radiate diamond energy. No, I think 2 of my favorite moments. Definitely standout one was Cosmo getting their first pole in a wet Monza in the V12. That was just a standout performance for me, or pole in class, I should elaborate. And secondly, a personal pick here was the P2 for Horton in Misano, I believe it was. I'm trying to think, was it? Yeah, it was definitely Misano. Yeah, last time out, I believe.
I think those are 2 fantastic picks, and of course, the Rookie of the Year, the only rookie we've had this season, McKenna Santos, though, in a class of their own, multiple podiums, and even if it is, a second today is pretty brilliant as well after their very first pole. And of course, after the season started, they joined Race Ventura as well, and it immediately got a immediately got a podium position. And now with the pole, it's also been one of the stories. And of course, you cannot forget this driver, Anil Rose's dominance of the series. And it just goes to show you that just a ridiculously good driver Anor is. And you got to respect that ability and that talent. I certainly do.
Yeah, it's like I said, I sometimes watch these back just to sort of see what is happening in the car, and yeah, I can't spot it. Anor Rose is just, there's no other word, just rapid. That's it. They are so fast.
If I had a honorable mention, it would be for Yvonne and Sophie. They're back and forth between them. Very interesting to see the dynamic of those two together, and it's been back and forth this season. And they came to play in silver, and they put on a show this year. And I'm assuming they'll both be back for season 4. I hope they'll be back for season 4 so that we can continue this, because nothing this season between the two of them, for me, marked that a definitive number one between the two of them. And I would love to see that battle continue another season.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Jesse. I mean, I hope we see all of the drivers come back next season. I hope we have some bigger grids, some more competition, and I hope that we have someone who can take the challenge to Rose. I mean, as we mentioned, you know, we can't, like, don't get it wrong. I'm jealous of Rose's speed. There's no other way to put it. I'm envious of that speed. And by all accounts, they've done a fantastic job with their race prep, the practice, the setup, everything they've got put on. However, I'm bored of seeing them run away at the front. It's not fun. Slow down.
Well, you've heard it there from Nate as being let through there. But now I think there is a quality Diamond Drive Pro field. And this season, I just feel like that team in that car was not going to be denied regardless. I mean, they're running 1-2. They ran 1-2-3 for the majority of the season. They came ever so close, but I think it was barring a drive-through penalty for track limits. They would have been 1-2-3-4 at one race, as far as I recall. Either that or it was an incident, but irregardless, that team, the Queen's Design team, was just dominant as a whole as well.
Yeah, they are a new outfit, a new team. They've just sort of rocked up. Obviously, myself and you, Jesse, were aware of Mia and Anor, but the new faces they brought along, I hadn't heard of before. I don't know if you had personally, but yeah, they sort of, all four of them rocked up and went, well, this is our show now, and grabbed it with both hands and sort of ran away with it. I'm hoping that we sort of see Queen's Design outside of Diamond Drive. It'd be fantastic to follow along with any ventures they go on. But yeah, overall that team has definitely done well.
Well, I tell you what, the one thing I wanted to see, I was excited to see, we actually didn't get to see. I expected a 1-2-3-4 at some point. It wasn't on, except for one race where it looked like it was possible. That might have been Monza as well, and it didn't happen there. And I feel like there's still work to be done as well. As much as you can say about a team that's absolutely dominated the championship and has ran away and only raced themselves for the majority, but I feel like a 1-2-3-4 is on, and nobody in RCI history, regardless of the championship, has ever made a 1-2-3-4. And I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure Queen's Design holds the record now for the most 1-2-3 finishes of any team. So there you have it. I want to see history made at some point.
Right, so that means if they make history at some point with 1-2-3-4, we need another team to come along with 5 drivers and make it a 1-2-3-4-5 until eventually we just have a grid of drivers all from the same team. As we see Sophie Erwin getting a little bit out of shape coming through the chicane there. Looked like just popped the curb and the back end stepped out a little bit more than Sophie would have enjoyed there.
I think that was Nate, I think that was literally just getting out of the way of the leader, just to be as far away as possible. I almost feel like that was on purpose, but if that wasn't on purpose, now's not the time to be getting sloppy this late into the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's been, well, almost an hour and a half of these drivers. We're sort of rolling up to 1 hour, 20 minutes. I'm sure some of them concentration will be starting to fade ever so slightly, just getting a little bit tired, wanting the race to come to an end. But yeah, as you mentioned, no time to get sloppy. There's a class to win, and well, potentially a championship as well.
There sure is. In all likelihood, it's going to be Anal Rose, your champ. I think actually came into today the pro champion. I don't think anybody could beat her. But I'll stop short of confirming that. But I believe the 56 BMW is your Pro Series champion, and Sarah O'Brien will be your AM champion. And who does that? Where does that leave Silver, though?
Oh, goodness. Jesse, you're the man who does the math. I will leave that to you.
And I will do just that. Nate, cover for me while I quickly do the math.
Oh, God. Right. It's the Nate show. Jesse's gone.
I mean, I'm not gone. I just can't talk and do math at the same time.
Well, maybe you should improve on your multitasking.
Maybe you shouldn't judge my multitasking.
Okay, no, that's fair. That is fair. But, yeah, I mean, we are coming into the, well, just over 10 minutes to go now, a handful of laps left. And, well, there's still a fair amount to play for. I mean, it only takes one instant for, obviously, drivers to hit the wall, spin, lose the car, whatever it may be, for anyone else behind them to catch up, which can change the results of this race, as I'm sure our main man Jesse Lee will do once he is back from doing the math. But in the meantime, we can run you through the order very quickly. Obviously, Anal Rose leads out in front, never really been in doubt of that, followed by Ruby Acosta in the second Queen's Design BMW. Then third place overall, we have Nicole Fox, and then in fourth place, we have Sarah Dove. Fifth place, but first in the silver class, is Sophie Erwin, who seems to be holding that lead quite dominantly as well, not allowing the sixth overall and second in class car of Yvonne teammates they are to catch up. In seventh place, we have Alice Horton, who is a handful of seconds behind. I believe Alice not really in any danger from the car behind and not really a threat to the cars ahead, so that is just a case of bringing the car home for this one. Fury April in 8th had a nice recovery drive after the lap 1 nudge and spin to obviously get themselves back up to 8th, ahead of Sarah Johnson in 9th, who was unfortunately the car that took them out. In 10th place is Sarah O'Brien, who is first for AM class, and again has had a nice recovery drive, considering we saw them off at Water Mineral in the early part of the race. Quiet, Jesse. 11th place is McKenna Santos, who again, unfortunately did start on pole, had a couple of incidents and has dropped back ever so slightly. And last, but certainly not least of the running cars, is Charlotte Robertson, who, oh no,
safe!
Oh,
didn't
no.
hit anything!
Oh, how? I mean, that was fantastic timing from us. Unfortunate timing for Charlotte Robinson there, who...
Look at this!
Just
oh my goodness! And Charlotte Robertson slides into home, and they are safe!
Oh, it's perfect advertising for Imola as well. Just drop the Lexus there, take the picture, move on. That's what that was. That was a photo opportunity. And then, obviously, unfortunately, one retirement being McKeehan, who seems to have retired due to technical difficulties. Jesse, are you back?
I have been doing the math, as you might expect, folks at home. And I can confirm, Anal Rose, before even entering the race today, didn't have to show up, will be your Pro Series champion. Now, the interesting thing is, Anal Rose is going to set a record here in RCI anyway. It's not going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4 for Queen's design that I've been harping on for the past 3 or 4 weeks. But Adel Rose is going to be the first driver in RCI history to get maximum points in a 6 or more race season. It has been, as long as this car makes it to the checkered flag in 7.5 minutes, it will be the very first perfect season in RCI history. Pole position, fastest lap, and the win required in every single round to do that. And Rose is 7 minutes away from doing that very thing.
Oh, you're making me nervous, Jesse, with all this talk of what is going to happen. If anything happens, I hope you have some sort of underground bunker to hide in, because you're going to need it.
I've got a cellar. I'm not sure if that's the same thing. Also, in silver, we had the very close battle between Yvonne and Sophie, and as far as my math is concerned, even with Sophie winning the race, remind me who was on pole in that class.
I believe it was Sarah Johnson. Sorry.
Okay, if that was the case, Yvonne will be your silver champion by no more than about 3 or so points will be the difference there. Yvonne will win the championship if it holds. If Yvonne falls behind Horton, that might not be the case, and there will be more maths required to crown a champion in that category. But right now, Yvonne over Sophie by about 3 points is what it's coming down to. And Sarah O'Brien, of course, already had a decent championship lead and will likely continue to grow that here today and win in AM, which they were already leading. Sarah O'Brien had a near perfect season as well. Didn't have a fantastic Suzuka, but after that, got it together. Realistically, just missed out on the bonus points for a lot of pole positions, but ended up winning quite a lot of the races as well. So a lot of things to be considered there. Sarah O'Brien absolutely getting it done, and not always from pole position in AM.
Yeah, so I think the main part that I talked about it at the very start of the show, is saying some drivers have better race pace than they do qualifying pace. And I've got a feeling Sarah O'Brien is one of those drivers, just seems to always keep their nose sort of clean. Most of the time stays out of trouble. I think there was a couple of incidents in Silverstone between them and another car. But yeah, it's the consistency that brings results. You don't have to be the outright fastest person on track. I mean, it does help in some cases, but normally if you can just keep it on the black stuff, being sort of sensible will net you good results as they come.
Well, something else to consider as well. We've been in Italy for a long time now, different racetracks, of course, but do you remember at Monza, whenever I believe Sophie let Yvonne go through to win the race? You remember that?
I do remember that.
That is the difference in the championship.
Ooh.
And we were talking to Sophie a little while after that, and Sophie admitted, I shouldn't have done that.
Mistakes have been made.
Yeah, that's the difference. Of course, Yvonne didn't score any points at the British round of this championship, which I'm pretty sure was Silverstone.
It was indeed.
I believe it was Silverstone. Didn't score any points, did the 147. I believe they retired. Yvonne was there, but I believe that car retired from that race.
No,
but even
that was the pit lane speeding incident where the car just got immediately disqualified. That was the first incident we had of disqualification through pit lane speeding.
Also, Yvonne, we have Yvonne to thank for having the emergency stewarding rule implementation of we refuse to allow ACC to disqualify drivers for speeding in the pit lane. and Yvonne obviously paid the price for that, but will not apparently pay the price for it in the final standings here. But yeah, that's the difference in the championship, the switch up at the line at Monza.
I would be. I mean, it's nice, it's fantastic, but it's just like, as you mentioned, Sophie saying, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." It's sort of like a, "Damn, why did I do that?" sort of moment.
I think it's one of those hindsight things. Realistically, you're trying to be a good teammate, trying to be a good friend, and all that, and it goes a bit it goes a bit wrong in the grand scheme of things. But if it were any other two drivers, I think it'd be different. But with Sophie and Yvonne, I'm pretty sure it's something that they had probably previously discussed at some point, and they've already moved past it, even though the season isn't quite done yet. And it's food for thought next time, I think, for both drivers.
I think it's food for thought maybe for all drivers if they're trying to maybe play the team game. Don't be selfish.
Basically, Sophie Erwin's selflessness is going to cost them a championship, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, but I mean, I suppose it's a great way to lose it, really, isn't it? Through pure sportsmanship. And
it does give you a warm, fuzzy feeling, doesn't it?
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far, Jesse. Come on now.
I've got a warm, fuzzy feeling. I think that. Listen, again, if they weren't teammates, if you will, it'd be a little bit different. But I mean, it's one of those, and what a season for them it has been, and right down to the wire between them as well. Well, this is Anor Rose on a victory lap here, coming to get the one to go last lap of the race, and indeed the entire season. One lap away, 1 minute and 40 seconds, give or take, away from doing the unthinkable, the improbable, and the never done or tried before. Winning every single race, getting every single Speed Juice fastest lap, and every single pole position. Maximum points. It's never been done in any RCI series since our inception years ago. Today, it's looking like history will be written.
So, sorry, did you say every single race win and pole position?
I believe so.
Ooh, Jesse, sorry to crash the party there, but I believe at one of the races Anor was out qualified by Mia.
I don't know about that. Well, I'm looking at the points, and Anor has max points every single race.
Oh, maybe not then. I was certain that Mia out qualified Anor at one race because we thought there would be. Oh, no, I'm incorrect. It was Mia got past Anor on the first lap, then unfortunately had a terrible pit stop, and that's how Anor got back through. So, no, ignore me. I'm not here to crash the party. You carry on there, buddy.
Anor Rose coming to the line for the final time in Diamond Drive Season 3. Anor is not only the Pro Series champion, but also a history maker, a perfect season, batting 1,000. The Queen's Design 56 goes flag to flag from the race and the entire season.
Yeah, that's just, well, incredible, really. As you said, it's never happened in an RCI series before, and well, until now. So I mean, it's gonna. Oh, what's going on here? Finish line has been crossed. So a little bit of formation flying there. So, Jesse, did Yvonne win silver? You've got all the numbers there.
Well, according to my math, Sophie Erwin has won the race. Yvonne has won the championship by just a precious few points. That is as close as it gets. The closest championship in Diamond Drive history as well. Sophie Irwin wins the race. Yvonne comes second and wins the championship. Alice Horton comes across the line to finish third in silver. Ruby Acosta finishes second in pro. Nicole Fox will come across to take third in the pro class. Sarah O'Brien, who dominated much of the season, still had work to do in AM today and does just that, winning the race and the championship in AM. McKenna Santos, second place. Charlotte Robertson, who briefly went to second place and all the way up inside the top 10, I'm pretty sure, at some point, finishes third in that class. And only one driver not finishing today. Of course, that's Elle, after the many unfortunate offs that car had. What a fantastic season it's been, and one that came right down to the wire in silver. It was close the whole way, and some formation flying here at the end. Why not?
Yeah, it was, well, we didn't really know until the very end, and it was fantastic to sort of keep us guessing. I mean, arguably, I'd like all of the drivers to take home a trophy for, well, just being here, joining in, and sticking it out until the end. As we see Dove sort of squeezing through there. There's always one, isn't there?
Well, apparently there's two or three, but they did the formation, and now they're sort of spreading out. I love the camaraderie, and I love the spirit that Diamond Drive Cup has, and I think they're all having a bit of fun here is what they're doing. I think Sarah Dove said, what if I just park in front of them? Will they hit me or will they drive around me? But drive around was the correct answer on this occasion. But I love this after a season, a hard-fought season, where there was hurt feelings at some different points. Let us not forget that. To be able to come to the end and show this mutual admiration and respect. We actually have a post-race replay here. Jake was having a bit of chuckle at Sarah Dove doing a drift down into water minerals.
Somehow missed the wall.
Missed the wall, missed the racetrack, missed everything except the runoff route on that one. But just a brilliant way to finish championship. Let's talk to our championship winner in pro. Well, we are with Ador Rose, who did the unthinkable. Batting 1,000, you won every fastest lap, every pole position, and every race. Rose, you just made RCI history. Nobody in any championship has ever done that in 2+ years. You did it here this season.
Hell yes. That feels good.
Tell us about your championship. Queen's Design, a new team coming together. You had 4 cars, and it was a dominant display by the BMWs, but you were the top of all of them.
Yeah, I think mostly because Mia was at the same time focusing on R Factor 2, so she decided to retire to focus more on that. So that left me and Ruby and Kaine, which wasn't here today because her pedals died, so we'll have to look into getting her new ones. And yeah, I'm really proud of what Ruby did today because she, with that second place, I believe, she got back her third place at the championship from Sarah.
I believe that is correct as well. And Aor, just to continue, you've done something nobody else has ever done in anything that we run, and I keep bringing that up. It's so hard to win one race, a pole position, and the fastest lap. You went 6 for 6. The very first race at Alton Park, Nate and I came on talking about how good you were and how we reckoned that you, if anybody was ever going to go 6 for 6, it would be you, and you did it here in Season 3. Is it a relief now to know that you've finally done that? And also, Steven in chat asked, can you go 2 seasons back-to-back doing that?
Yeah, it is a relief, especially at this track where it was last year that pretty much pardon my French, but everything went to shit. Uh, I don't really know how else to put it. So yeah, it feels a bit like a redemption as well. And as for 2 seasons in a row, I don't know yet if I'll do season 4 at least in its entirety. But that would be the aim. Yes, absolutely.
Well, you brought some fantastic looking cars. You showed up, you meant business, and you lived on the top step of the podium. Congratulations, Series 3 Diamond Drive champion in pro, Anal Rose.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Well,
Thank you.
well, we're actually gonna go to the individual we just heard there. We're gonna talk to Yvonne. Now, Yvonne, by my math, and you know how good my math is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You won the silver championship by a handful of points.
Yeah, it was not much. I was letting her by, and I was thinking, okay, if she doesn't have the fastest lap, I'm safe. I just drive it home because my legs were very bad, so it was just surviving. And then she drove the fastest lap, and I thought, oh dear, this is not gonna happen now. But luckily, it's enough.
You and Sophie were close. You and Sophie were close all season long, and in the end, it came down to what was basically a coin flip between the two of you because you both led in this race for extended periods of time. Did you know that you were the champion coming to the end of that race, sitting in second place?
Yeah, I knew. I wasn't sure after the fastest lap, but before I knew I'm safe, and I'll just stay here and just drive it out. And I had already a drop round, so this must be good because I had a 0-point score at Silverstone.
Well, it was very close all season, back and forth, and well, we wanted a final showdown between you and Sophie in the finale, and we absolutely got it. You put on an excellent show, Yvonne. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Your champion in silver, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Well, I have to talk to Sophie, who chased all season long, was the leader of the championship at certain points. And I will say, Sophie, you put on a show for us today in particular. You got to put us out of our misery. Was your car meant to be that loose, or was that an accident?
My car was never meant to be this loose, but I didn't even think I was going to make the race today because I was doing the VCO earlier on this evening for a different team, and I didn't think I'd make this race, but I managed to get in like halfway through qualifying using Yvonne's setup. Yvonne likes a very loose car.
It helped to turn a bit more.
So yeah, so I was going sideways a lot more than usual.
We sure were, but it didn't look uncontrolled, the slide, but it was very entertaining. We were hooting and hollering in the box all race long, watching you run down cars. It'll show that you won today, but we know it wasn't that easy. You had to come through the field.
Yes, I did. I didn't have particularly good qualifying. I made a mistake at the beginning, booting into Sarah Johnson. Yeah, just didn't have the pace in qualifying and had to use my pace in the race to make my way through. To be honest, I didn't think I'd be anywhere. I thought I'd be third behind Yvonne and Alice after Sarah got a drive through. I didn't think I'd catch Yvonne because for the longest time it was 6, 7, 8 seconds. I just couldn't bring her in.
Well, I got to say, it was a fantastic season. It's fitting that it ends on a win for you. Sophie, congratulations.
Thank you.
We got a lot of people in the box. Oh, yes.
Congrats as well.
We got a lot of people in the box. We're trying to work through everybody. We're going to go to Ruby Acosta, who not only took second place in the championship, but took second place in the race. Ruby, what a show that was. It wasn't easy today in pro.
It really was not. I think everybody was at all. Nicole was really fast today, and we were battling in and out. I thought I was gonna lose to her in the first stages of the race, but I just kept my nose in it, and I felt like I could do it. The car was really good, like it was fantastic throughout the whole day, and I just felt comfortable. And I made a few mistakes, but so did Nicole. We sort of swapped back and forth, and in the end, I felt like I came out the cleanest, and I felt like that was a really good performance. I did really well that day today.
You're not going to get any argument from me, Ruby. I thought that was a fantastic drive. And you must have known the drive for second place in the championship was on. And coming from fourth to second in the last race, it just shows how close, other than Anor, of course, how close the Pro Championship was.
Yeah, it was. I was worried because Kaine couldn't be able to race today because she had a hardware issue. So I really had to try and manage the gap between Sarah and Nicole and try and make sure that I did my part to help everybody. But I didn't know I actually jumped to second. That's actually I didn't know that. I thought I was third. So that's even better.
Again, Ruby, I will say my math's not the most perfect math, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, you got second place. So, second of the race and the championship. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, and thank you for putting on this race, this series. It's been a lot of fun.
We absolutely love to do it. Charlotte Robertson has joined us as well. And you may remember Charlotte Robertson from being the driver who joined incredibly late, qualified, and was in the mix almost immediately in the race in the Lexus. Charlotte, walk us through your race.
It started okay. I was ahead of Sarah briefly. Then sort of made a single mistake, and then from then on the tyres were just gone. I tried to keep them going as long as I could. Lasted till about 40 minutes to go. But I had a couple of spins behind, mainly trying to avoid people lapping me, trying not to crash into them. But yeah, from then on, it was just trying to catch up with McKenna, and I just couldn't quite match her pace.
You put on a show for us today. The only Lexus in the field. We have no sample size of how well that car drove. So you tell us how good was the Lexus around Imola today?
I thought it did pretty well, actually. It's just I'm not all there on the getting the setup right, so could have made it a little less oversteery on power.
Well, finally, I have a question for everybody here in the box. Diamond Drive Season 4 confirmed. Sign-ups open now. Are all of you coming back for Season 4, or are you going to make me beg?
I'm in. Already signed up.
I'm not sure yet because of the time, because of the schedule. But if I can, I'll try it.
Yvonne's going to make me beg. Well, we got to say, fantastic championship this season. Season 3 absolutely lived up to the hype and the suspense. We had a large gap between Season 2 and 3. Was ecstatic to get Season 3 underway, and like I said, just absolutely didn't disappoint. Flag to flag drama all throughout the season has led us to this point. A couple of points for silver was all that was in it. A driver in pro went from fourth to second in the championship. Just incredible scenes all around. Thank you all for participating. Well, we're just about done with Season 3 in the Diamond Drive Cup. As we've mentioned, sign-ups are open right now for Season 4. Please read all the rules for the Season 4 championship, and we hope to see everyone that took part this season back with us again for another action-packed season. All that's left to do here is to thank our partners that make this race and every race possible. RaceDepartment.com, your source of sim racing news and information. AK Informatica for providing our server solutions. Driver61, you can get 25% off your driver coaching by using our discount code at driver61.com. Fanatec, the authority on sim racing hardware. And of course, simracing.gp. If you're tired of the pub racing scene, tired of being crashed by somebody behind you that has very poor racecraft, join simracing.gp, join a community, get started today. course, signing up is free. Nate, are you still with me?
I am, of course, always by your side, Jesse Lee.
Nate, I just want to say thank you very much to you and Mr. Jedi Jake, the Bosmeister Boswell, for being with us this season for Diamond Drive. It a lot of moving parts that make this race and every series come together. I couldn't do it without you, literally, and I wouldn't want to do it even if I could. So thank you guys for being with us this season. It was a spectacular one at that.
Well,
Thank you also, everyone, for the season. I enjoyed it, and if I can, I'm looking forward to the next one.
You're here. Also, Mr. Tom Bryant's tapped me on the shoulder, said GT4 Championship is live as well. If you want to sign up for that, it was meant to start tomorrow, but because it's been converted into a solo championship, so it's not a team championship anymore, GT4 signups are still open. So if you want to enter GT4 competition for Thursday, you got an extra week of eligibility to sign up and pre-queue for that series. Well, we'll be back on Friday, I'm pretty sure, for the start of the new Friday Championship. This weekend, of course, the 12 Hours of Silverstone, the World Tour second round, getting underway. We've got a whole host of crew for that race brought to you. I'll be there, and I believe Jake will be there as well. I'm not sure if Nate's going to be there or not, but
I also don't know,
regardless, it's going to be very fun. 12 hours of Silverstone. You won't want to miss it. And I've been told the weather might cooperate most of the way in that race. Here's hoping, anyway. Of course, the Monday Championship continuing, the Asia Masters Championship on Monday. And next week, Thursday, will be the very first GT4 round. So we'll see you Friday and Saturday for more racing action. On behalf of everybody here at RCI, the broadcast team, the stewards, and the admins, we thank you for watching and have a good night.